distance, it looks like a giant speeding boat skidding across the water. This is no boat.
It's a very interesting thing. It's neither a ship nor an aircraft, but it's a combination of the two. Very much frustrated flyers is the way I describe it.
Faster than a hydrofoil, able to hoist 114 tons of cargo with the turn of a fan. It's the largest craft of its kind in the world.
It's designed and produced by or with aircraft technology, but flown in a marine environment. So she's a beast on her own. She's a hovercraft, a special lady.
This special lady is the Princess Anne, and don't let her looks deceive you. As Captain Nick Rose will tell you, she's more of an airplane than a boat.
We do call it flying. They are listed as flights. Every sortie we carry out is known as a flight. They're listed as flights, as opposed to voyages that you would normally use on a commercial passenger vessel or something like that.
Hovering just above the waterline, those flights cut through the English Channel, back and forth from England to France. The Princess Anne claims bragging rights to the quickest crossing times, scheduled to make the journey in just 35 minutes. When conditions are right, she's even faster.
It's pretty regular to do the crossing in 30 minutes, and the record, I believe, stands at around 22 minutes.
A nimble accomplishment when you consider the size.
She, with her sister, the Princess Margaret, are the two largest commercial hovercraft in operation in the world. They are about 330 tons, metric tons, in all-up weight.
That means the craft alone, with no cargo on board, weighs about as much as 250 seaplanes. And this hovering heifer can handle a heavy load of cars and people.
Ballpark figures, you're looking at about 50 vehicle units and up to 360 fare-paying passengers carried on board. Of course, everyone has a seat.
Total cargo capacity, about 230,000 pounds. With that much cargo, the hovercraft is more than ferry transportation. She's a weightlifter. Here's how it works. First, 4 giant fans measuring 11.5 feet in diameter draw air down from outside and pump it into the huge inflatable structure around the base of the boat, called a skirt. But unlike your typical moo-moo, this skirt is not there to hide the bulk. It's there to hoist it up. Tens of thousands of holes in this giant windbag blow compressed air underneath the craft. A cushion forms, and up she goes.
We increase the volume of the air, and whilst there's very low pressure in the skirt, the amount of air we put in there is contained within the skirt, and as such it rises up, lifts the craft itself about 3.5 meters clear of the ground at the forward end of the craft and about 2.7 meters clear of the ground at the after end.
Just the skirt alone comes in at a whopping 25 metric tons. That's the weight of over 2,500 car tires, all wrapped up in 3 parts.
You've seen the main body of the skirt inflated, and it comes down to what we call a hemline. From that hangs the skirt fingers, and they go right the way around the craft.
When the fans are blowing, the skirt contains an air pad that lifts the hull of the Princess Anne 3 meters above the surface of the water. More clearance than any other hovercraft.
Anything that will pass underneath the main body of the skirt, in other words, a man standing up would quite happily go underneath the skirt and out the other side. A car would do the same, a boat would do the same. Anything that is not going to really come into contact with the main body of the skirt.
Once this baby is floating on air, it's got to get moving.
Approximately half of the engine power we use is to provide the lift, and the remaining half of the engine power provides the propulsion.
Just like a lot of airplanes, propellers are the key to that propulsion. In the Princess Anne's case, the props outsize anything in the skies.
It uses aircraft technology, the 4 propellers that you see, the largest air screws in the world in operation.
Each of these huge air screws, as they're called, is about 21 feet in diameter. Their gigantic blades combine to give the Princess Anne the ability to reach speeds of up to 75 miles per hour. and she can tolerate some intense conditions.
We're looking at sea conditions that we operate in, 3.5 meters of sea and swell in the daylight. So that gives you some idea. 3.5 meters is pretty reasonable sort of sea and swell. Being amphibious, of course, you see us come straight off the water onto the concrete. We climb up that slope onto the hover pad at low water.
From a small cab at the front, Captain Rowe steers with 3 basic systems. First, the rudder bar, which he moves with his feet, controls the angles of the rudders at the back of the craft. Unlike a ship, the rudders are above the water, acting more like the tail fin on an airplane. The fan's wind hits the rudders at the desired angle, creating a turn. Another steering control is something every airplane pilot is familiar with, the yoke. It's linked to the pylons where the propeller blades are mounted.
The yoke controls just the 4 pylon angles. It has no input to the rudders. By introducing a full right yoke with positive pitch on, you create a movement of the craft bodily sideways, though it would tend to lead by the bow because of the pivot point of the craft.
The third mode of directional control is with these levers. Here the captain can adjust the pitch of the propellers and go forward or reverse. Combined, they make this a very maneuverable monster.
You can actually park the craft wherever you want, given the conditions being right, and you can maneuver it through 360 degrees virtually on the spot. She is that maneuverable. But I have to say, like all big ladies, that you have to treat them gently and with care, because if you're not careful, they'll turn around and bite you.
The way to get this big lady revved up is through her stomach, and it's a big gut. She carries up to 18 tons of fuel, and she burns it as fast as you can pump it.
She's quite thirsty. If you can envisage standing at the pumps there, filling up your tank of your car at full volume, that's the speed we're burning it at. So you're looking at about 5,500 litres an hour.
That means in a half-hour trip through the channel, she'll burn about 750 gallons. It's no surprise when you consider that she's running on Rolls-Royce engines producing 3,800 horsepower. The Princess Anne is all top quality, lifting a 300-ton body with a length of over 56 meters and darting across surfaces at speeds of 75 miles per hour. This is one laboring lady. Her 9 trips a day give her the capacity to move over 3,500 people from England to France and back again. And for the man at the helm, every day is a worthwhile trip.
On a nice flat calm day, cruising at high speeds, very quick crossing times, plenty of time to drink coffee at the other end while the turnaround takes place. She's the baby, she really is. Looks after us well, but you've got to treat her, as I said earlier, very much like a lady. Sometimes very gently, occasionally a little bit assertively. I enjoy my job.